Hi, this is Tim. I'm with my friend Kaedrich Olsen, who's an expert in all Nordic. He knows a lot about the winter solstice, so I'm very happy to have this conversation with you, Kaedrich. Hi.
Hey, Tim, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I'm looking forward to our conversation together.
What is the winter solstice?
Is that time in between time? It's a special liminal time period where you're not in one year, you're not in the other year. The further north you get, the less sun you see, to the point where in those 12 days you might not see the sun at all. Why these 12 days are so important for so many cultures all over the planet is because when we look at where the sun is and where the earth is, those 12 days, the earth is in perihelion, the closest that the earth is to the sun in its slightly elliptical orbit. And so the earth is moving faster in those 12 days from solstice to the new year than it is at any other time of the year. And if we know from physics, there's more energy available on the planet at that time period. And if we are on the night side of the planet, we're moving even faster. And so those 12 days give us the most energy on our planet, which is why it may be significant to cultures all over the planet, because we're feeling that extra bump in energy.
In earlier times, it enabled people in that time to communicate with different dimensions. This is like one of the reasons why people gathered together on that special date?
Absolutely. It's back to what we were saying, it's liminal time. We have one foot in the spiritual world, we have one foot in the physical world. Therefore, we are hedge riding, Hagzisa, these 12 days. Give us that space where we can connect with ancestral beings, we can connect with nature spirits. And this is a big part of the Norse tradition, was we open our homes and we invite the spirits of our loved ones, our families, the nature spirits, our neighbors, the hidden folk, the hula folk, into our homes so that they could share our food, our camaraderie, our friendship. And interestingly enough, on the last night of Yule, the 12th night of Yule, we have a ceremony called banging out Yule, where we go through the house banging pots and pans and drums, banging on the cupboard doors, letting all of our spiritual friends know it's time to go, that they can go back home, because we enjoyed their company. It was lovely that they were here, but it's still our world. It is an ideal time to communicate with other beings and connect across the worlds.
Why do you think the winter solstice has lost a lot of its meaning in the mainstream world today?
The reason why the solstice has lost its meaning to the mainstream is because our calendar no longer coincides with the moon phases. It no longer coincides with the timing of events. We don't have in our culture anymore any way to denote this as something special. People don't even look up at the sky to notice the shifting of the constellations at night. They don't look up at the sky to notice the height of the sun moving up and down. They're completely out of the entire periodicity of all of these celestial events that affect us on a regular basis.
Especially the forest and the nature itself is something that nourishes the soul of the European Nordic tribes a lot. Do you know something about that?
That's absolutely true. It's all throughout Norse literature, be it the Eddas, the sagas, even the folklore, the hidden folk, the land spirits, that they are in the trees, they're in the rocks, they're in the streams, they're in the air, they're in the fire, they're everywhere. In Norse lore, it definitely talks about the pagan people and how they got along well with their neighbors. But when the new tradition, the new religion came in, they were seen as like demons and awful creatures. And so they were treated horribly and they didn't get along so well. And this is what fascinates me about Iceland so much, is Iceland actually has an industry centered around protecting the hidden people. And if they find like there's a boulder here and they say, yes, there are hidden folk living here, you can't mess with it, Iceland will build that road around that boulder rather than move it or destroy it, so that they live cooperatively and connected. It's absolutely true. We have this connection. As long as we're breathing, as long as we're eating, as long as we're sharing space on this earth, we have this connection with the hidden people that live in the natural world, and we should honor them and respect them completely.
So one thing that being sick suggested is that in order to, undo this kind of chaos that has been, brought over Earth, and especially the Nordic and Germanic tribes, it suggested that we need to come back to the state of spirituality with nature, especially true for nowadays German, Swedish, Dutch, European people in general. What's your take on that?
Looking at some of the Old Norse words, the Scandinavian words, we have something called urlag. The key word there is ur, and ur is primal. We're getting to the primacy of being, the natural root, the natural state of being, which is not competitive. It's cooperative and collaborative. But you're right, the language is a reflection of our consciousness. And so those distortions of competition were introduced to us. And I see this all the time with clients and with people I work with. It's an adaptive trait, and it becomes a false personality that we project of who we think we have to be in this world. And once we can learn to let go of that distortion, and we get to the ur state of who you are, the primal man, the primal woman, which is, it's more collaborative, more creative, more co-creation, coexisting. And that's exactly how I teach people to work with the paranormal, by the way, is to learn to coexist with it. I completely agree with that. It's the natural state of our universe, but we have these distortions of how we think we have to be. So we're projecting that, we're creating that. And as humans, we're super amazingly, powerfully creative creatures that we create this reality. When we get to that ur state, we realize, no. This is what reality is. That was the illusion, the Maya.
Right. Perfectly put. So from your perspective, what is something a modern time German, Dutch, French, English, Nordic, European can do in order to reduce nonsense around him and focus practically more on his consciousness?
Exactly that. Focus on your consciousness. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What is your body doing? And that's where you start, is like, ooh, is this thought mine? What are these thoughts all about? And that's kind of the key, is people talk to me all the time. They can't meditate because their mind is always going. Well, that's what you want. Your mind going. Look at all those thoughts. Be aware of all those thoughts. Be aware of all your feelings. And once you have that awareness, you'll get the discerning quality of this isn't mine, or this is created, or this is really authentically me. Just aware of your inner world. That's all I want people to start doing.
I'm always saying, like, be happy, do what makes you happy, and build a home around that and invite people. I think you agree it's such a beautiful time to see when all these strains and all these, different aspects and traditions are coming together, and we all see that although they're different paths, it all comes down to, creating a happy home and sharing it with the universe. Thank you so much, Kaedrich, for having this conversation. I know you're on Gaia as well. Tell people how they can find you.
Yep, absolutely. You can check out Gaia, and I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. My home page is Kaedrich.com, just my name, Kaedrich.com. And I've got online courses available for all sorts of things, from shadow work to developing your consciousness abilities. Just type in my name, you'll find me everywhere.